Behold the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Philippines and Republic of Korea strengthen defense ties with new agreements. AFP, ADF, JSDF, and US Indo-PACOM hold third multilateral joint staff talks. Senate approves resolution calling for swift government action to protect OFWs, mitigate economic impact of Middle East conflict. ASEAN says escalation of conflict in Middle East amid diplomatic efforts regrettable. Good day, everyone, especially to our troops at Camp Emilio Aguinaldo in Quezon City. Today is Thursday, March 5, and this is AFP Community News, your source for the updates on the armed forces and other developments across the country. I am Jhai, Simbajon, here to bring you today's stories. DWDD. Armed Forces News. The Department of National Defense and its counterparts from the Republic of Korea formalized two significant agreements during the state visit of ROK President Lee Jae-myung to the Philippines. Secretary of National Defense Gilberto C. Teodoro Jr. and ROK Ministers of Patriots and Veteran Affairs Kwon Oyul signed the renewal of the MOU on cooperation in the field of Patriots and Veteran Affairs. The Undersecretary for Acquisition and Resource Management Salvador Melchor B. Mison and ROK Minister of DAPA Lee Yung-chul also signed Amendment Number 2 to the implementing arrangement between the DND and ROK's Defense Acquisition Program Administration concerning the procurement of defense materials. Meanwhile, other than defense acquisitions and veteran cooperation, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. also welcomed several memoranda of understandings across key sectors as part of ongoing initiatives to further strengthen bilateral relations under the Philippines-ROK strategic partnership. DWDD. Armed Forces News. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, Australian Defense Force, Japan Self-Defense Force, and U.S. Indo-Pacific Command held the third multilateral joint staff talks in Camp Aguinaldo. The multilateral joint staff talks act as an avenue for top military officials and planners to boost coordination, strengthen interoperability, and deepen mutual understanding among allied nations. Meanwhile, the discussions highlighted a continued commitment of the four nations' military forces to enhance defense collaboration and promote mutual security goals in the Indo-Pacific region. DWDD. Armed Forces News. Armed Forces Radio. And now let us hear some information from Joanne about Philippine Army troops trained with Pangasinan, Ilocos Sur reservists to bolster Northern Luzon defense. Joanne?
Reserve forces from Pangasinan and Ilocos Sur took a frontline role in the Philippine Army's ongoing combined arms training exercise Katihan as they reinforce soldiers in a demonstration of seamless integration and operational readiness at various training areas across northern Luzon on March 4. In Burgos, Pangasinan, reservists from the 104th Civic Military Coordination participated in a military decision-making process, briefing and opening ceremony. Simultaneously, reservists of the 102nd Civic Military Coordination joined training participants from the 5th Infantry Division in division-level training efforts in Ilocos Sur. Meanwhile, reservists from the 102nd Ready Reserve Infantry Battalion carried out key activities at the Logistics Support Area Paredes Air Station in Pasukin, Ilocos Norte. Another squad completed mortar gunnery exercises and pre-assessment drills and observed fire procedures and call for fire. At the local support area in Burgos, all reservists underwent tactical combat casualty care continuation training. The exercise includes a range of drills covering displaced civilian operations, littoral defense drills, and defense exercises. The exercise also puts into practice the Army's land defense concept and its role in the comprehensive archipelagic defense operations. The frameworks guide how the Army, Philippine Navy, and Philippine Air Force coordinate to defend the country's islands. This is John Sagak reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines. Thank you, Joanne. DWDD.
The 1003rd Infantry Raptor Brigade and the 89th Infantry Makatao Battalion facilitated the surrender of 63 former rebels and 34 firearms in San Fernando, Bukidnon. This progress highlights the ongoing success of government initiatives that support reintegration and foster sustainable peace endeavors. 1003rd Brigade Commander Brigadier General Christopher M. Diaz emphasized that the accomplishment would not have been made possible without the strong support of the local chief executives and the community. Meanwhile, Brigadier General Diaz reaffirmed the brigade's commitment to a comprehensive approach that balances security operations with proactive community engagement and development initiatives. DWDD Armed Forces. And the 5th Fighter Wing held an interfaith service marking the first memorial anniversary of late Lieutenant Colonel Jude Whirlpool S. Salangoy, Philippine Air Force, and Captain April Jan B. Dadulia, Philippine Air Force. The personnel of the wing, together with the families and friends of the fallen airmen, honor their courage, dedication, and selfless service to the nation. Lieutenant Colonel Salangoy and Captain Dadulia died during a tactical night operation against CTG positions in Bukidnon while flying the FA-50 fighter jet with tail number 002. DWDD Armed Forces News. Armed Forces Radio. And we have more updates from Gina about 94th Infantry Battalion leads consultative meeting with DARPO and DARMO in Cabangcalan City. Gina?
Jhai, 94th Infantry Battalion Commanding Officer Lieutenant Colonel Sigfred D. Tayaban led a consultative meeting together with the Department of Agrarian Reform Provincial Office and DAR Municipal Office, Cabangcalan City, held at Headquarters Alpha Company, Barangay Kamingawan, Cabangcalan City. The activity provided updates on the land conflict concerning agrarian reforms beneficiaries in barangays Hilamonan, Orong, and Oringao, acknowledged that unresolved land disputes are fundamental factors contributing to insurgency and are frequently manipulated by CTGs to spread misinformation and create divisions in communities. The meeting bolsters interagency coordination to ensure a peaceful, lawful, and transparent resolution of concerns. Meanwhile, the said gathering highlighted the strong ties between the 94th IB and DAR in addressing the root causes of conflict, promoting peace, protecting stakeholders' rights, and sustaining community stability in Negros Occidental. This is Gina reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for Stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Gina.
Armed Forces.
And the 1st Tank Masikan Battalion of the Armored Division conducted the Masikan Anniversary Run inside Camp O'Donnell, Barangay Santa Lucia, Capas, Tarlac. The said activity is in line with the unit's 4th reactivation anniversary. The Masikan Anniversary Run was led by the unit's commanding officer, Colonel Reynaldo L. Mina, and was actively participated in by the personnel of Arms Corps Tarlac. Meanwhile, as the battalion celebrates another achievement, the Masikan troops continue in advancing with strength, discipline, and a steadfast connection.
DWDD Armed Forces.
And for our national news,
DWDD National News.
Malacanang said the country's economic managers will determine the possible rates of the proposed oil excise tax cut should President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. exercise his emergency powers amid tensions in the Middle East. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said PBBM would consult his economic team if he decides to reduce excise tax on petroleum products once Dubai crude exceeds $80 per barrel. But Castro said nothing was discussed yesterday as the chief executive will listen to the economic team on what the best reduction rate would be. The palace official also explained that Marcos cannot suspend the imposition of mandatory excise taxes on all oil and fuel products unless Congress passes a new law.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces. Radio.
On the other line, let us hear more from Meljoy about 701st Infantry Brigade facilitates earthquake and tsunami drill with human-induced crisis in Pangasinan. Meljoy?
Yes, good afternoon. Personnel from the 701st Infantry Kagitingan Brigade together with the 3rd Civil Military Operations Company, 7th Civil Military Operations Battalion, Civil Military Operation Regiment Philippine Army, 48th Infantry Guardian Battalion, 56th Infantry Tatag Battalion and 71st Infantry Kaibigan Battalion facilitated a simulation exercise on evacuation procedures for tsunami and armed conflict scenarios. The activity was held at Barangay Covered Court, Barangay Iloilo in Burgos, Pangasinan, in support of the framework of CATEX Katihan 03-2026, a combined arms training exercise in enhancing interoperability, operational readiness, and coordination among different units. The simulation was conducted in close coordination with the local government unit of Burgos, Office of Civil Defense Region 1, along with various government agencies and local offices. The exercise aimed to test and improve the municipality's preparedness and response mechanisms in the event of natural disasters and security-related emergencies. It also strengthened collaboration among the military, law enforcement, local government of its different roles in supporting each other in times of natural and human-induced disasters. This is Meldray Nesho Aroko reporting for AFP Community News. One AFP for stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Meljoy.
DWDD National News.
And the Senate has adopted a resolution that called on the Philippine government to take immediate and decisive steps to ensure the safety, protection, and repatriation of Filipinos and overseas Filipino workers in the Middle East. This amid escalating tensions and conflict in the region. The resolution also called on all parties to prioritize the lives of civilians and comply with international humanitarian law. It also asked the government to adopt interventions to mitigate the resulting economic impacts of the conflict on the country's economy.
DWDD National News.
An Association of Southeast Asian Nations called the escalation of conflict in the Middle East regrettable amid Oman-led efforts for a diplomatic solution. ASEAN foreign ministers said they call on all countries to respect international law, including the Charter of the United Nations. It added that this escalation is particularly regrettable as it occurred amid ongoing diplomatic efforts, including mediation initiatives led by the Sultanate of Oman aimed at advancing a negotiated solution. The ASEAN foreign ministers expressed serious concerns over the development and called on all parties concerned to exercise utmost self-restraint, avoid any acts that may further aggravate the situation, and resolve differences through diplomacy and dialogue in the interest of maintaining peace and stability in the region.
DWDD National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now we have some information from Spencer about NPA squad leader surrenders to 1st Special Forces Battalion in Bukidnon. Spence?
US Jhai, a high-ranking member of the communist terrorist group CTG, surrendered to 1st Special Forces Battalion at Barangay Mampayag, Manolo, Portage, Bukidnon. The said personality alliances J. Coreman Yanis Cycling serve as the squad leader of Squad 2 SRC 5 Northern Mindanao Regional Committee. Alias Yanis is a resident of Sitio Camansi, Barangay Banglay, Lagonglong, Misamis Oriental. Meanwhile, the successful surrender is attributed to ongoing military operations and community outreach initiatives designed to entice insurgents to reintegrate into mainstream society. This is Spencer reporting for AFP Community News, 1 AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Spencer.
DWDD National News.
And patients being treated in hospital hallways may soon become a thing of the past. This is a Senate approved a measure allowing faster expansion of government hospital capacity. Senator Risa Ontiveros made a statement as she welcomed the Senate's approval of the DOH Hospital Bed Capacity and Service Capability Rationalization Act, which she authored and sponsored to streamline the expansion of bed capacity and services in hospitals run by the Department of Health. She said the bill removes a long-standing bottleneck that requires a separate law to increase a hospital's bed capacity or upgrade its services, a process that currently takes years to complete. Under the measure, the DOH will be authorized to set and adjust the bed capacity and service capability of hospitals under its supervision based on population growth, disease trends, and health planning needs.
DWDD National News.
And the House of Representatives is waiting for a possible certification of urgency from the Malacanang on the bill resetting the first regular parliamentary elections in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. This after the lower chamber approved House Bill number 8220 during plenary session. The measure seeks to reset BARM's first regular parliamentary elections to the second Monday of September this year. It is one of the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council priority measures.
DWDD. National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear more updates from Jess about students engaged in Peace and Security Forum at Sorsogon State University. Jess?
Yes, good afternoon. An information awareness drive campaign was conducted at the Sorsogon State University campus as part of the military's continuing efforts to provide the youth with accurate and relevant information on peace and national security issues. The discussion, led by Sergeant Romel M. Maranya, Infantry Philippine Army, focusing on raising students' awareness about the West Philippine Sea issue and the threat posed by misleading ideologies and the recruitment activities of armed groups in so-called white areas, communities, and institutions that not directly affected by armed conflict but still vulnerable to influence. The activity aimed to strengthen students' vigilance against deceptive recruitment tactics and encourage them to become critical-minded, responsible, and patriotic citizens. This is Jess from Solcom reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Jess.
DWDD. National News.
President Marcos has expressed readiness to certify as urgent the proposed Agriculture Cooperatives Act of the 2025 as part of efforts to strengthen support for Filipino farmers and fisherfolk. The Presidential Communications Office said the measure is among several agricultural reforms being pushed to boost incomes and provide stronger institutional support to the agriculture sector. The PCO added the government is also continuing to study and refine proposed amendments to the rice tarification law. It emphasized that alongside the ongoing review and the refinement of proposed amendments to the rice tarification law, the goal is to secure approval of the measures as soon as possible.
DWDD. National News.
And President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s decision on the fate of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure could be out next week. Executive Secretary Ralph Recto said this when asked when an announcement will be made about the fate of the independent body. In a separate briefing, Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said Malacanang should decide on this matter this week. Marcos created the ICI in September last year following public outcry over the multi-million corruption of flood control projects in the country.
DWDD. National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now let us hear more from Kath about Alpha Battery of the 1st Davao Ready Reserve Field Artillery Battalion joins a 3-day combined arms live exercise in Bukidnon. Kath?
Yes, Jhai, good noon. Alpha Battery of the 1st Davao Ready Reserve Field Artillery Battalion successfully participated in a 3 combined arms live fire exercise in Bukidnon. The said activity also included civil military operations, day and night live fire exercise, and rotating howitzer operations alongside fellow reserve artillery batteries of the 1st DRR FABN. The Alpha MD, Bravo DDN, and Charlie DDO batteries completed multiple fire missions and recognized qualified personnel for their proficiency in field artillery operations. Meanwhile, the exercise enhanced operational preparedness, collaboration, and community relations. This is Kat reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Kath.
DWDD. National News.
And Malacanang rebuked remarks made by a lawmaker that drew first backlash, warning that publicly expressed fantasies about women may constitute sexual harassment under the law. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro responded to questions regarding controversial statements attributed to Quezon City 4th District Representative Bong Sontay, saying such remarks go beyond personal opinion. Castro said when he blurts it out and even boasts about his fantasy about a woman in public, that is definitely a sexual innuendo. The palace official added the mere fact that he said it in public to the public pertaining to a particular person is already covered by the Safe Spaces Act.
DWDD. National News.
And Malacanang called on the public to end the culture of objectifying women. This is amid a controversial remark by Quezon City Representative Bong Sontay on actress Ann Curtis. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro emphasized that women are to be guided, uplifted, and respected, not made the subject of lewd fantasies proudly displayed in public.
DWDD. National News. Armed Forces Radio.
And now more updates from Beth about Naval Forces Eastern Mindanao conducts send-off ceremony for BRP Artemio Ricarte in General Santos City. Beth?
The Naval Forces Eastern Mindanao conducted a send-off ceremony for BRP Antonio Ricarte PS-37 at SAFI Shipyard, Barangay Tumbler, General Santos City. The said activities was conducted as PS-37 departed to participate in the first League of Coordinated Patrol Philippines-Indonesia A-40 Corpat Lendon -40. BRP Antonio Ricarte represented the Philippines in the Joint Coordinated Border Patrol along the Philippines-Indonesian maritime industry. Meanwhile, the BRP Antonio Ricarte's participation highlights the Philippine Navy's sustained effort to safeguard the nation's maritime interest. This is Beth Taneta reporting for the AFP Community News, one AFP for the stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Beth Daniete. Another update from Jimboy about 22nd Mech Company supports feeding program in Sultan Kudarat. Jimboy?
The 22nd Mechanized Infantry Valiant Company participated in a food feeding program conducted by the MSU IIT National Multipurpose Cooperative Coronadal Branch at Barangay Tanansag, Lutayan, Sultan Kudarat. The initiative sought to deliver healthy meal to local children, enhancing health and wellness while strengthening connection between the military and the community. Personnel the SAY unit provided assistance in the preparation and distribution of food for the duration of the whole activity in generals. Meanwhile, local in the areas conveyed their appreciation for the continuous assistance and involvement provided by the officers and enlisted personnel of 22nd Mechanized Company. This is Jimboy reporting for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Thank you, Jimboy.
DWDD. National
And for our final news, the Philippine National Police has mobilized its elite intelligence units to dismantle possible terror cells. The move came after the arrest of a Jordanian national linked to the suspects in the deadly Bondi Beach shooting. The PNP intelligence group is coordinating with the Armed Forces of the Philippines to investigate Mohammed Saleh Ode, 65, arrested in Pagandian City on March 2. PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Natatis Jr. said they are leaving no stone unturned in tracing the movements and connections of any terror group in the country.
DWDD. National News.
And that's all for today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us, especially to our audience in our DWDD AFP Radio Facebook page. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for more updates, same time, same station. Again, this is Jhai Simbajon for AFP Community News, one AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Behold the latest military news update. This is AFP Community News, hosted by Rob Suzon every 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. Only here on DWDD Armed Forces Radio. One AFP for a stronger Philippines.
Ito ang DWDD 1134 kHz AM. Balita, impormasyon at musika. Ito ang DWDD AFP Radio. Boses ng Kawal Pilipino.
Kayo ay nakatutok sa DWDD AFP Radio. Kami po ay kasapi ng KBP, Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas.